Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Voyageurs 95 Flight Sim, and today we're here back with our next of our National Park series, Part 37 of 63. We're here in the beautiful state of Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes, as the state's called. We're going to be covering Voyageurs National Park in northern Minnesota. This special national park is one of our very few water-based national parks here in the United States, and this area has been visited by people for over the last couple hundred years. Of course, a lot of settlers and explorers have visited this area, but this one is much of the park is water-based. Hence why we're taking the float plane here today, of course. Before we get started, I do want to say hello to everyone. Court's good to see you. Alaska Grow 777. I think that's a bot, probably. Hello, and hello to all the lurkers and mods. I hope you're all having a good morning yourselves. So, flight plan should be pretty simple. Today's flight plan is going to take us from Grindstone Lake. We'll have a short hop over to Sky Harbor, just outside of Duluth, at Sky Harbor Airport. Then from there, we'll head up north. We'll make our second full stop here at Johnson C. Landing Airport. We'll make a second stop up here. And then for the third and last one, we'll be mainly going to Voyageurs, and we're going to fly around the different lakes here at Voyageurs National Park. But we will have a couple of landing sites. The main landing site we're going to be landing here, of course. We have a couple of them we're going to be landing, but the one I mainly want to land is the Kettle Falls Hotel. If you want to know where that's at, the Kettle Falls Hotel is going to be the main one we're going to be trying to land. I think Kettle Falls is going to be located around this area. We'll find Kettle Lakes Hotel. We'll land over there, and we'll fly around much of this area. We'll find plenty of interesting lakes and stuff all across the trip. Oh yeah, here's Kettle Falls. The Kettle Falls Hotel is right over here. The Kettle Falls Hotel will land right here, pay a visit to here. Then we'll also have a landing at Quevedo Gama, and we'll just fly around the entire area. And then our final stop is going to be at International Falls Seaplane Port. We'll land near downtown International Falls, Minnesota. So that's going to be where our flight's going to be. Pretty simple flight plan. We should get ready to get going today. So yeah, let's get our full point started. And yeah, it's kind of drifting backwards. I had slew mode on and all that, so let's go ahead and get her started. So, our heading's gonna be so I'm going to go ahead and put into the nav. I'm going to go ahead and put my nav data here. I'm going to go ahead and put my my flight plan. Let's do Grindstone Lake. Johnson C. Landing. So we have these two here today. So we're going to get ready for our seawater. So we're going to get ready for our departure. So we're going to go ahead and turn left, and we're going to go ahead and depart. Our altitude for this part of the leg is going to be 2,500 feet. So up, and we're going to go ready for takeoff. About to take off here, out of here to Voyageurs. And we're out. And we're out of here. And we're out of here, boys. Yep, we're taking the seaplanes today, guys. We're going to take the floats. Float planes are going to be really nice to take for this trip, of course. There's Coppa Stick with us. Good to see you, my dude. Like I said, we don't get very many opportunities to take the floats out to our National Park Series. We'll be taking them more when we get to Alaska, of course. As you all know, Alaska's national parks are a lot more seaplane based. So we're going to go ahead and climb up to 2,500 feet. So, we're going to be visiting Voyageurs today, but before we talk about the national park, I do want to recap what happened yesterday, of course. Yesterday was our game day flight. We covered the Hell's Real Derby between Columbus and Cincinnati, and it did not disappoint. That Derby matchup was absolutely intense. It was a 2-1 victory for Columbus. Thanks to Thierry and Godzog in the first half scored first half goals to get the lead, and they secured the win. Then the game got pretty intense. Got very intense at the end with a red card at the very end of the game, but it was pretty intense. But the MLS definitely was very exciting this week. Lots of pretty exciting matches. Plenty of goal-related matches, of course. So, pretty exciting stuff for the MLS yesterday, of course. So we're going to be heading this way, of course, for the X-Cub. We're going to head this way into our first stop. So we're going to head this way, of course. We're going to be cruising at nearly 119 knots, of course. We're going to head down this direction. So we're going to head down this way, of course. So we're going to go ahead and get to our first stop. So we're going to head to Sky Harbor first. So we're going to talk a little bit about Voyageurs National Park as we head our way over down to our first stop near Duluth. Voyageurs National Park, for those who don't know, Voyageurs is located here in northern Minnesota, established back in 1975 near the city of International Falls, Minnesota. The park's names commemorate the Voyageurs, French-Canadian fur traders who were the first European settlers to frequently travel the area. Notable for its outstanding water resources, the park is popular for canoeists, kayakers, and other boaters and fishermen. The Quebec-Tacoma Peninsula, which lies entirely within the park, makes up most of the land area and is only accessible by boat. To the east of the park lies the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. The park has several boat ramps and visitor center on its periphery. The main body of the park is accessible only by boat, or in the winter, snowmobile, ski, or snowshoes. And in 2018, the park received 239,000 visitors. In 2025, it was around 206,000 visitors. Like I said, not a very visited park, but due to the fact that it's that far up in Minnesota, of course. But it's definitely a great place to check out. So that's basically what this national park is, and we'll talk a little bit about the history stuff when we get closer. So we'll head down this direction, of course. So when we get down to Voyageurs, of course, so we'll talk about the history of Voyageurs National Park. So the first thing we'll talk about is the history of the national park. So Voyageurs National Park was first proposed back in 1891, but the area itself was actually occupied by humans for nearly 10,000 years. During the Paleo-Indian period, people entered this area as the waters from glacial Lake Agassiz receded. Then during the Archaic period, which is around 8,000 to 100 BC, nomadic people moved with the animals they hunted with the ripening grains. Fishing grew as a major source of food during this time. Then afterwards, we got the Woodland period, which saw an increase of the use of wild rice, and also around that time, they used ceramics to create side-notched triangular projectile points to aid in hunting. Now, when the Europeans arrived here in 1688, the French explorer Jacques de Noyon wintered along the Rainy River, but it was the demand for beaver pelts that brought the fur traders into this area. As competition in the east depleted the beavers, the Voyageurs expanded their range into the Northwest Territories of North America. And here along this border, the Cree, Masoni, and Assiniboine tribes were the first Native American contacts with the Europeans, and by the 18th century, these people had abandoned the area to the Juwabe, and they were the primary residents of the border by 1780. Then afterwards, we have logging that came into the area. Logging was pretty well known. Wisconsin and central Minnesota were harvested, with white pine harvested in Michigan, Wisconsin, central Minnesota, so they decided to move up north. There's only a few strains of large mature trees that still exist in the park. In addition to this as well, in the 1900s, you also had the dams that were also constructed in the park. At International Falls, Kettle Falls, Squirrel Falls led to all the dams because of the constant need for water. One very interesting event was that in the summer of 1893, George Davis, run by Charles Moore, discovered gold on Rainy Lake. And eventually in 1894, they got development of a gold mine in the area. And they found several bits of other little mines in the area. And by the summer of 1894, there was a community of several hundred people, a schoolhouse, bank, general store, hotel, restaurants, and more. And more people try to find gold on the island of Cork, on the national park. And with the development of Little American Mine, other prospectors entered to the search. However, the low production of the mines ended in 1898. When the park was established back in 1975, there were over 60 different resorts around the park. Within it, there were 12 resorts, 97 leased cabin sites, and 120 recreation homes. Many sold their land and buildings to the park. Some people chose to sell the property and leave meaning, while others chose to sell the property but maintain use for a lifetime tenancy. And as those properties vacated, the park will remain structured to restore the natural conditions. However, 20 of those properties, containing 50 structures, will be retained and managed by the Park Service due to their historical significance. There was also once large fishing operations in the 1890s, though old fishing camps still exist in the site. But by the 30s, all other large operations are pretty much gone. And the main reason they fished here was because of the caviar from the North American lake sturgeon. It was caviar. But that's the history of Voyageurs National Park. So that completes the history of Voyageurs National Park. So we're going to be getting ready for the first stop. We're just halfway there to our first stop. But yeah, so let's see if Coppin sticks with us. I think he still is in the back. I'm thinking about changing the plane because something's wrong with the heading. The heading thing's always screwed up. So I'm probably gonna change the aircraft afterwards because of this slow bug. So we're gonna once we land in Duluth, we'll change aircraft to the I'm gonna change to the Cessna 172, and we're gonna go with the Cessna 172. So we're gonna go to there. Or we could change to the Havilland Beaver. Or maybe we'll just change to either the Beaver or the Cessna 172. Probably the Beaver. I probably would like to have the Beaver short takeoff abhorrence, so we'll change aircraft afterwards. For some reason, the heading bug on this gets flipped. I mean, I probably did use slew, and that's probably messed it up. But it's got a lot of drift. So we're gonna go ahead and make our way down over here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this trip. I know a lot of people have the new. Yeah, I do agree the A220 looks really nice. I'm not really Airbus guy, and I don't think I really need any new airliners soon. I mean, I'm happy with the ones I got so far, especially the Fokker F7100, man. It might be now my new go-to airliner now because with the 700 and 100, I could do all the regional jet routes. I don't need the CRJ or the E jets anymore. I don't need to get those. So now it opens up a whole new era of routes. Now I can do the Fokker 70 since it's similar to the CRJ. I can now do all the CRJ 700 routes. So so I can do a lot of the shorter routes, which would be pretty cool to do. But yeah, I do agree the 220 looks really nice. So really neat stuff. So yeah, the main industry they mainly use is the lake sturgeon, which is actually endangered, according to the IUCN. Um, it's endangered. So people are trying to restore the lake sturgeon back up, but the reason a lot of people did this is because of caviar. Um, Caviar is a very important resource. And Inzaglass was also another one, which is the collagen of dried swim bladders. It was a food fish, but also for its caviar and stuff too. But yeah, the caviar was used for a lot of um, apparently those things are very expensive. For example, one expensive caviar for 2 pounds sold for 20,000 British pounds. But yeah, it looks really nice. Some of the other stuff there, apparently, the Mad Dog finally got a native update. So the Mad Dog is now officially MSFS native for 2024, which is good, which is really good news. It's now native for 2024. That's good. The SimWorks Kodiak 100 for 2024 starts at 20 euros, which is not bad at all. That's pretty cool. Of course, the King Air Professional for Black Square is going to be a 300. And soon they're going to be bringing out their Commander 114, which is for next week. So we got the Black Square Commander 114, which is going to be another very popular GA aircraft. Perfect for a certain Irishman who likes to get into likes to make a fool of himself sometimes. And if you guys want to know what I did yesterday, I actually did something I thought I would never have done. Yeah, I wish Majestic would partner. Yeah, that would be big. The Dash Q400. Oh yeah, the Dash 8. Absolutely. I agree with you on that one, Court. Yeah, the Q400 would be a game changer for a lot of the regional flying, because I know Canada, especially for Canadian flights, the Dash 8 is like an important part of Canadian aviation. So yeah, this thing's got a heading bug thing. I need to change it. So yeah, absolutely. Any builds has a massive team. Let's not forget. So they have no problem working and getting things done pretty quickly. Absolutely, they could definitely help. And since they got a huge team, it should make things go pretty much more quickly. Yeah, Majestic need a lot of help. Like they're talented, but they could definitely use some help. But yeah, I did do something I never thought I would have done on yesterday, which was doing a long 12.5 hour flight from London Heathrow to Singapore yesterday. 12 hours. I had to wake up at like 5 a.m. in the morning, 5:30 in the morning to get this flight for over 12 hours. But that's been the longest flight I've ever done on White MSFS 2024. A 12-hour trip. I've done I did 8 9-hour flights. I never did one that's 12 hours. It's for an achievement for the E380 ops, which I'll be doing more so this week. Finally getting those completed. I don't think the Firefighter also has one for the for Project Sunrise, but I'm not doing that. That's way too much. You're asking me to do all that? No. No, I'm not doing that. Chinese RAM went higher than Samsung. I know. Pretty crazy to think about it. Yeah, I'm not really into console news. I've been on console for ages. Yeah, I guess so, but I mean, Microsoft's already kind of lost the console war anyway. So here it is, guys. Superior in Duluth. Here we are in northern Minnesota. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not great for sure. So we're about to arrive into our airport, our first stop of the day. So we're gonna go ahead and make our landing here. Our airport is down over there. So, mm, mm, here it is, and we're down. Bit of a hard landing, but we're down. Hmm. So here it is, guys, our first landing of the day here. So we'll stop here for a bit. We'll change. I'll change aircraft very soon, so we'll be. So we're gonna go ahead and change aircraft. We'll be right back in just a second. So we're just gonna go ahead and. So we'll change aircraft to. There we go. I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to make sure all this stuff was. Need to need to do all the pre-checks. So no more of that. Take the covering off. Take the engine covering off of this. Okay, we're good. Yeah, so thankfully a solo is going to be affected. Yeah, I don't think a solo will be affected, thankfully. And yeah, they'll definitely make it FS28. I mean, consider how much Flight Sim has made in over both the PC and console sales. A lot of money. I don't think they'll be affected that much. So we're gonna fly 3,000 feet for this next leg. So we're gonna go ahead and taxi over to. So we're gonna go ahead and start taxing. So yeah, we changed aircraft, of course. Well, exactly. What would Sobo do? Exactly. That's a good question. I know it's going to be on consoles and PC. The question is, what else can they do? I mean, they could expand AI even more for even improved coverage of the photogrammetry and stuff. They could definitely do that. I think they could. I think they could go maybe into more airport customization stuff, possibly. There's a lot of directions they can go. So I just think whatever direction they take, hopefully it works out. As long as it's user friendly and all that, and it works for a lot of the player base, I think that's the direction they need to go. Here we go. Just gonna go slowly. Like I said, this isn't a very fast aircraft. It's not like the X-Cub that can take off pretty quickly. This is going to take a little bit of getting used to. So we're going to fly over Duluth. So if you guys don't know about this northern Minnesota city, Duluth is one of the biggest cities in the state. Duluth is the northernmost city. It's the fifth largest city in Minnesota. Forms a metro with Superior, Wisconsin, called the Twin Ports. Duluth is a popular Midwest tourist destination, home to the Great Lakes Aquarium, a freshwater aquarium. There's the aerial lift bridge, which crosses into the Duluth Ship Canal. And this port right here is a major hub for cargo shipping here and it is actually the world's farthest inland port accessible to ocean-going ships. So this is a very big area for shipping here in the park. So we're going to be going over this area here too. So to our left is Superior, Wisconsin, which we saw when we were about to fly in, of course. But Duluth, very cool destination, very big cargo shipping, huge cargo shipping hub, and it's accessible. And Duluth is accessible by that of the Great Lakes Waterway and the St. Lawrence Seaway, so it is accessible to the Atlantic Ocean. And it's the largest and busiest port here in the Great Lakes, actually. And of course, it's top 20 U.S. ports by tonnage. Everything from coal to grain, limestone, cement, salt, steel coil, and wind turbine parts are shipped in and out of Duluth. Pretty cool, huh? So we're about to fly over the city, of course, of Duluth, Minnesota. We might be getting a chance to see the bridge from all the way up here. So pretty cool little city. Oh yeah, the new sim, yeah, FS Expo 2027. Yeah, or 2028, depending on how Microsoft would want to announce it. Exactly. I'm curious to see what they would get. So we're going to be going. So here it is, guys, Duluth, Minnesota. So here's Duluth. Here's the harbor. Here's the canal bridge that goes through it. And here's downtown Duluth, Minnesota. Pretty cool little city, of course. Very neat area. I would like to check out Duluth sometime. And yeah, there are towers everywhere. There's also a little bit of towers. I'm going to switch to the right tank. So we're going to go ahead and climb up to 3,000 feet. So we're going to go ahead and start talking about the next part. Let's talk about some of the other slides here for today. So next slide, of course, is the geology of Voyageurs National Park. In terms of geology and stuff, about the geology, Voyageurs National Park is located along the Canada Shield. Is located around the largest city in Europe here is located on the Canadian Shield with rocks averaging between 1 to 3 billion years old. These are some of the oldest rocks on the North American continent. Formed during the early ages of Earth's formation, the rocks of the park were compressed and folded under tremendous pressure. Then the molten flows of lava intrude into the layers, creating a mosaic of various gneiss and granites, and over time, with sedimentary rock developed at the top to be stripped away by the continental glaciers. And that produced some of the unique rock formations across the park. Most of the rocks in the park belong to the Archean Quetico subprovince, which is one of the many geological provinces of the Superior Physiographic Province, which is its own area of geology. And it's part associated with the Kennerin orogeny, which is around in Canada. And these rocks consist of schist and gneisses in the west, in the central part of the park, and granitic rocks of the Vermilion Granite Complex in the east and southeast. A lot of these areas and rocks have been, and here to the right is the geological map of the national park. So, top left is the Walgreen subprovince. Then in the middle is Quetico, which is pretty much most of the park, and finally there is the Wabash-Chaudevoin subprovince. So Rain Lake fault zone is right around there, and there's Vermilion Falls is the green. So yeah, some pretty interesting stuff with the rocks, of course. Geology is really cool. Now, in terms of geography speaking, the closest city here is International Falls, Minnesota, which is where we're going to be landing last. unlike many other national parks, where the main access of the park um, is mainly accessed by motor vehicle, bicycle, foot. The primary access to this park is by boat, by water, boat, kayaking, and all that. Many visitors travel by kayaks and canoes, while others rent houseboats or take a guided tour boat. The Voyageurs canoed and portaged the 2,000-mile journey from Grand Portage to Lake Athabasca in Saskatchewan, and this well-established waterway became the official border on the Treaty of Paris in 1783. Of course, the park encompasses 4 main lakes. The 4 main lakes, of course, to get here. Rainy Lake, Cabotagama Lake, Namakan Lake, and Sandpoint Lake. So, the largest of the 4 lakes is Rainy Lake, and it's the largest of the 4 major lakes at the park, at 60 miles long, featuring 929 miles of shoreline and a max depth of 161 feet. Cabotagama is 15 miles long with 78 miles of shoreline at 25,000 acres. Then Namakan Lake at 16 miles long, 146 miles of shoreline at 25,000 acres and a depth of 150. And finally, Sandpoint's the smallest with only 8 miles long and 5,000 acres. Of these, Namakan, Rainy, and Sandpoint Lakes straddle the U.S. and Canada border. The park also has many smaller lakes, and the most popular one are on Locator Lakes Trail. But yeah, there are 4 main lakes, and we'll be flying through all 4 of them on this trip. And we'll be flying on all 4 of them during the trip. We'll fly through all 4. So, like I said, we'll fly through plenty of lakes on this trip, and we'll do plenty of seaplane landings, of course, here on this trip. So I'm looking forward to doing that with you guys, of course. A lot of really neat stuff here. Let's see how many more slides. So, let's take a look outside and see what's around here in our scenery. We got some beautiful landscapes here. Take a look at the Minnesota landscape. Here's Copperstick. Good to see you, my dude. Look at the Minnesota landscape with all the lakes. Very cool. I know some people from where I knew someone who lived in Minnesota, of course, so I knew this area quite well. But it's a beautiful park. But honestly, like I said, this is the perfect park to take the floats today. Take the float planes is like the perfect park for it. Now, in terms of other flights and news, so if you guys don't know, Sunday is going to be the game day flights on next Friday, of course. Our next game day flight will be our second MLS match of the summer, and it'll be our last time in the United States for a little bit. Portland Timbers and Seattle Sounders on July 31st. So we'll be going to do the MLS's oldest rivalry dating back to the 1970s. Timbers and Sounders will take the Beaver float plane for that one. Yes, I'm getting into using the floats, but I mean, why not use the floats? So we'll be doing that, of course. Then of course as well, so we'll get to do some float plane action, which is going to be really exciting. Don't get to do much of that, so that'll be next Friday, of course. And then our next national park is going to be Badland National Park in South Dakota. So we're going to be checking Badland National Park, another one that's been affected by the World Update. Yeah, absolutely beautiful scenery here today in this part of Minnesota. So, absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, tons of places to land if you have a floodplain like this. So we're going to be continuing forward here. So let's go ahead and cover our slide. So let's start with some of the activities found here at Voyageurs. There's quite a few really interesting activities here for recreation. The park has quite a few things. So all the campsites here in the national park are only accessible only by water, and there are 282 of these sites as a front country or backcountry tent, houseboat, or day use site. Tenants may not camp at houseboat sites or day use sites, and maps show these sites are available at the visitor center, and permits are required for overnight stays. Of course, this is a great place for a lot of fish, for fishing and stuff. Walleye, northern pike, muskies, smallmouth bass, and crappie are pretty much taking on a lot of the major lakes, while the minor lakes that dot the park, like large feature fish like largemouth bass, lake trout, bluegill, and other fish are found here. Visitors travel and explore the park's lakes and islands with canoes, kayaks, and motorboats. The interior peninsula is only accessible by boat unless it's frozen. And the park also features 50 miles of hiking trails. Though hiking's not what you normally do at the park. During the snow-covered months, from late November until early April, the park is snow-covered and it features lots of snow activities. They include lake driving, snowmobiling, cross-country skiing, winter camping, ice fishing, and snowshoe hiking. Are popular with snow-based activities. But there's tons of sites and stuff to take a look at throughout each of the different areas of the park. So pretty cool stuff. Definitely well worth exploring, of course. In some of the flora and fauna at the park, some of the flora, there's quite a bit of flora variety here, including those of northern conifers, Great Lake pines, and Great Lake spruce and fern are mainly the type of flora. In terms of fauna, it's home to the Great Lake wolves that live on the Great Lakes, black bear, moose, and an abundance of whitetails, as well as smaller mammals like fox, beaver, river otter, muskrat, snowshoe hare, and weasel may be seen crossing the frozen surfaces in winter. At one point in 2022, they saw a male cougar travel through this area in the park boundaries. In terms of birds, bald eagle, loon, double-crested cormorant, owl, and warblers are found throughout the park. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. So that'll be our last slide for at least for this leg. So pretty cool stuff about the park. Now, if you want to learn more about the national park, let me give you guys the website for this. I'm going to go ahead and pin this for 10 minutes. So this is the national park website for Voyageurs, actually. So once we get to the national park, we can go ahead and do all this sort of stuff. So it's got all the information. They apparently have a campfire ban and fire restrictions due to the wildfires that have been around northeast Minnesota at the time. So there's a park campfire ban in around it, and until it will be affected until it gets rescinded. But I'll show you all the basic stuff here, things to do. But yeah, checking out Voyageurs is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what the lakes look like at the park. So really cool stuff. Tons of things to do, tons of things to plan and visit here. There's not a lot of hiking trails. Hiking's not really this is not really a national park for hiking. It's a water sports loving paradise for water activities, especially for fishing, of course. It's especially a big one. So we'll get ready to get going here pretty soon. So we're going to be getting ready for another. We're just about over halfway there to our second stop of the day. So we're about to make our second stop at MY76. But I'm definitely enjoying this trip so far here in Minnesota, of course. We got Copper Stick flying along with us. So yeah, I hope you guys have really good points this week. Of course, I know Mer's not gonna be back for a little while. So after the stream, of course, I plan on just doing some normal airliner flights for the rest of the day. So here we are, guys. So we're about to reach our second waypoint pretty soon. So in terms of other stuff here in Minnesota, if you guys want to learn some Minnesota fun facts, um, you may not know about the land of 10,000 lakes. Minnesota has more shoreline than the states of California, Florida, and Hawaii put together. Is the global birthplace of global staples like Post-it notes, water skiing, spam, and yes, the Lakers actually came from the Los Angeles Lakers originally come from Minnesota. Minnesota also invented rollerblades, pop-up toasters, and the Milky Way counter candy bar. So yeah, plenty of really cool things about Minnesota. It's a neat state with lots of really cool things to do. Minnesota's a neat state. Very underrated one, of course. There's also the Minnesota nice thing too. People in Minnesota are supposed to be really nice up there. Yeah, really cool stuff here. So we're gonna go ahead and get ready for the first landing of second landing of the day. So we'll get ready for the trip. So yeah, we're going to be going over. So technically, in real life, we can't really land in the interior of the lakes, but this is a flight sim, so we can actually land here. Though it's not legally required to land here to protect against invasive species and disease, of course. So we'll be making our landing here pretty soon. So here we go, guys. We'll make it soon. We got a bit low right. We're gonna switch to left tank. So we're gonna make our first, second land of the day very soon. So we're doing pretty good, guys. So so I hope you guys do well. So yeah, we do have a caution for low fuel. So so we're about to arrive at Lake Vermillion. So that's going to be the lake where we're going to be landing here at Johnson Sea Landing. This would be our second stop of the day. So we'll go ahead and get ready for the landing, obviously. You're at Voyageurs. Then we'll be heading to Voyageurs National Park. We'll take plenty of pictures of the lakes. We'll make a landing stop near Kettle Falls, near the hotel, of course. We're going to make a landing just outside of it, obviously. We'll make one right here. And then we'll get ready, and then we'll just fly over the rest of it then. Exploring what scenery this area has. So that is what we're going to do for the plans for this flight. A lot of stuff to do, of course. But yeah, if you enjoyed this flight, smash the follow button, support the channel. We stream 2 days a week, Fridays and Sundays here on Twitch, of course. Beautiful trip into Voyageurs. Plenty of stuff to explore here today. Here we are, guys. Johnson's Landing. So more graphic. So this here is the Vermilion Lake Indian Reservation. Minnesota has got several of them across the state, of course. Yeah, look at the lakes. This is just really cool. All those lakes up here in northern Minnesota. And our airport is over here. So we're going to go ahead and turn off our autopilot, flight director off. And we're going to go ahead and prepare for the landing. So switch to both tanks. So here we go. And we're down. Huh, that's perfect. Huh. We made it. So we've arrived in our second stop of the day. Here at Johnson Sea Landing. Look at that. That's cool. Always cool to see, of course, a seaplane landing. Float planes. So turn off the landing rate monitor. We'll be staying here for just a bit. Oh, this will also be a good time to refuel the aircraft. So we'll just be staying here for a little bit. If anyone wants to join on in, here's our route. And here's our server. So, by the way, if you want to take a land plane, you want to fly along with on land, your closest airport is 12 Delta. Will be your closest airport. 12 Delta. So that is Johnson Sea Landing. Again, one of the many seaplane bases here in this part of Minnesota, of course. So we're going to go ahead and prepare for the third and last leg of the trip. It says we'll fly around 2,000 feet. We're going to actually go pretty low at 2,000. We don't really need any high altitude. So let's go. This is going to be a bit of a bumpy landing. And we're up. Nice enough. Here we are, guys. Our our last leg of the flight. So we're going to go ahead and let's go left tank. So 2,000 feet. So here we go. We'll finally be accelerating, and now we'll head over to the national park, which is going to be pretty cool, guys. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you guys. So we're going to finally head over down to our last spot, of course. We're going to be heading down to Voyageurs. So we got 2 final slides to cover here today about our adventure here at Voyageurs National Park. So we got 3 final slides. So our first slide for today, for this leg, here's some of the points of interest here. So each of these areas in the national park have several points of interest. For example, there's a couple ones. Rain Lakes is probably the one with the most sites. The Kettle Falls Hotel is the most famous site, but other ones include Anderson Bay, which is why the park was established. The bay rubbed over 50 feet above the water. Surveyors Island, Camp Marston was where Iowa State University operated a summer camp with civil engineers. Rusty Lake City was a short boom town during the gold rush period and a couple fishing camps. Calabama Lake has the Ellsworth Rock Garden, which is a chain sculpture once filled with flowers. And you can take boat tours from there to visit the site. And Hacksaw Pass, featuring various wetland stuff relating to Ojibwe history. The Namaka Lake has Hoist Bay for area of logging and season recreation. You can see piers of a former railroad trestle. The Moose River, they got Indian Village, and then they got the I.W. Stevens Pine Cove Resort, featuring his home, guest cabin, sauna, generator shed, root cellar. And Sandpoint Crane Lake has several, including a summer cabin, Grassy Bay, which is cultural natural resources with the cliffs, and the Ingersoll Lodge that was built in 1928, but it was collapsed in 2004. So pretty neat stuff. Some are historic sites, but the one we're going to be paying a visit today is an actual hotel we're going to be paying a visit to today. We're going to be visiting the Kettle Falls Hotel that was opened back in 1913 on the wilderness of the Boundary Waters at the junction of the Namakan and Rainy Lakes. It's the only lodging available inside the park, and it remains accessible only by water. In 1976, it's part of the National Register of Historic Places thanks to its significance in commerce, entertainment, industry, and transportation, and its long history providing lodging and refreshment to fishermen, lumberjacks, traders, and tourists in an area deep in roadless area. Now, this area was built around 1913, architect by Ed Rose, and he had built this, and it was open for decades as a hotel and nightclub in Rainier, Minnesota. Electrified in 1935, there was an annex that was built behind the hotel in 1946, and the area was run until it was acquired in 1976, and it still operates to this day. It's a neat little hotel here in this part of Minnesota. Of course, there's an official website for this. Let me go ahead and paste it for you. So this is the actual hotel website. I posted it here for you guys. So it shows you all the different rates. So if you wanted to rate a hotel, if you stay per night, it's about $90. And you can rent like a boat for $89 a day, a kayak, canoe, a shuttle service. All sorts of really cool stuff, little hotel. Like I said, it's a neat little hotel. You got a different gallery for fishing. It's a neat little place. It's a neat little place with some really rich history, of course. But it also got the famous Kettle Falls Barn, which is famous for the tilting floor. The floor actually tilts. They got all sorts of different services too, but really cool place, like I said. Then the two lakes will be mainly fought over. Kapatagama Lake. This lake, of course, is 25,000 acres. It's one of the 10 largest inland lakes. The German name for this lake is built to Mongagzagigan, which translates to the lake that lies parallel with the Narrow Lake, or the lake that doubles with the Narrow Lake. French for traverse simply referred to it as travers or travers, meaning alongside. This lake, of course, is home to several fish species: black crappie, bluegill, burbot, lake sturgeon, lake whitefish, largemouth bass, mooneye, northern pike, rock bass, sauger, tubuli, white sucker, and yellow perch, just to name the many fish species that live here at Kapatagama Lake. And finally, for our final slide, is the largest lake in the park. Rainy Lake is the largest one in the park. 360 square miles. Rainy Lake is mainly harnessed to lake hydroelectricity for U.S. and Canada, mainly International Falls, Minnesota, and the smart city of Rainier. Rainy Lake in Voyageurs National Park is in the southeastern corner of the lake, and it connects to the Kapatagama and Namakan lakes. And this lake here was a big part of the exploration and fur trade industry along the Winnipeg River. Of course, one interesting thing about Rainy Lake, this lake is very popular for sport and recreation fishing. Walleye, northern pike, muskies, crappie, largemouth, and smallmouth bass are all game fish, and it's very popular fishing. And it's home to the annual Canadian Bass Championship since 1996. And it's featured quite a bit of pop culture, mainly in Tim O'Brien's novels, The Things They Carried, as it played a pivotal role in his novel. So, yeah, pretty neat lake. These are the two main lakes we'll be flying over in the park, so we'll be getting through here very shortly. So we're about to finally reach the southeast edge of the national park. And yeah, someone's brought the Chinook today. Looks like someone brought his Chinook today. Look at that. Perfect for the waterlands, of course. Like I said, maybe outside may not be the most stunning national park, like in terms of hiking. It's not like some of the other national parks here. Uh, for example, it's not like some of the other national parks that are great for hiking and all that. But I hope you guys enjoy this trip because Voyageurs is a really interesting park. A lot of people. But it's an interesting park to take a look at. And but I mean, some of this stuff here is absolutely fantastic. So. So. So here's Crane Lake. We just flown over it. And now we're going to enter into the national park. So we've got bush landing here at Kettle Falls. So the lake we're going to be exploring here first is going to be is Bullpack Island. We're going to be this is Sandpoint Lake. So there's multiple lakes here, but if I remember correctly, I believe that is Sandpoint Lake. So we're about to arrive. So here it is, guys, our first leg of the national park. We're about to finally enter it. So beautiful scenery here today. Great lakeside scenery, guys. Enjoy this. This is going to be nice to do some flying over here. Beautiful lakes here. Look at all the lakes. That's just cool. Now we'll get to some really striking national parks when we visit. But like I said, the sim does not do Voyageurs justice. Because some of the best views is when you get on your boat and you explore this area. Is absolutely gorgeous. Tons and tons of stuff when you get to the lakes. So here we go, guys. Welcome to Voyageurs, of course. Beautiful lakeside scenery. Just look at this area. How cool is this? Just look at all these interesting places to visit. So we're going to follow this for the next 10 miles. Then we'll turn right and we'll prepare for the landing to Kettle Falls. And we'll stop right there. We'll exit out of the plane once we get there, and we'll take some pictures around the area, and then we'll head on out. And we'll fly through the rest of the area in the national park. So we'll fly out the rest of it. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this to. So we're going to head up to Kettle Falls. Actually, we're going to try to get this. Yeah, beautiful area though. I like this landing area. But yeah, we're going to get to Kettle Falls. We'll land there, and then we'll explore. We'll explore the rest of the area. Yeah, lots of really cool stuff here. So yeah, if you love to do water sports here, this is probably one of your best national parks for that, especially for fishing. Hmm. So yeah, really cool stuff. Thankfully, next week we're gonna have some more striking natural scenery when we visit Badland National Park in South Dakota. Mm. So here it is, guys. We're about to make our landing here very shortly. Kettle Falls, so we're gonna go ahead. Just gonna be. So we're gonna go ahead and make our landing there. Yeah, we stopped pretty quickly. So we'll be the hotel is straight ahead of us. We just gotta find somewhere to just gonna drive up. We're gonna. So we'll stop right here. This here is the way you get into the Kettle Falls through boat. Though technically float plane could also get through here too, but they said. There you go. So yeah. That is just really nice. So I think the hotel is this way. So what would be the hotel is, yep, there she is. There is our hotel we are here to visit. So this way is. So that is how you get to the hotel. You take the straight line path. And there is the Kettle Falls Hotel. So you take your boat, you walk through the trail, and you get your way into the Kettle Falls Hotel. Really neat. Like I said, that's what I love about the walkout feature and stuff is you can just explore the parks. You get do hiking and all that too. So there's the building. I don't think, well, it may not be 100% modeled into the sim. At least it's actually a hotel. Um, So there it is. Kettle Falls Hotel, or at least that's what it is represented here in the sim. So we'll take a picture here, and let's get back. All right, let's get back to our plane. So we're gonna go ahead and all right, let's get ready to get going. Let's. Like I said, not the fastest or highest performing aircraft for this. Eh, yeah, it's like I said, it's not the easiest to. So, okay, we're going to now make our way through from Kettle Falls. We're going to go through the rest of the park until we make our final stop at International Falls. So we'll fly over the rest of the park. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, been enjoying that trip. So here we go. So we're about to fly over the rest of the park. So 48 nautical miles to our final stop. Of course. So we're going to continue on this way. So this here is Anderson Bay. This lake over here to our right is Rainy Lake, the biggest lake in the park. It's the park's largest lake. So, yeah, absolutely massive amount of lakes and stuff. Super cool area. So yeah, I really enjoy this flight here in the Voyageurs, of course. Very neat park, not very visited, of course. I mean, it's all the way up in northern Minnesota, so it's not going to get tons of visitors. So here we're now going to go in from Rainy Lake. We're going to make our way over to now we're going to make our way over to Kabetogama Lake. So yeah, lots of trails and stuff. Like I said, very interesting park. A lot of interesting scenery, of course. Mm. Oh, really neat area. Tons of backcountry stuff in the wilderness. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what Badlands National Park looks like post update because it is one of our post update national parks. Them, in fact, after Teddy Roosevelt, after Badlands, the last two in part 4 are going to be Badlands, Teddy Roosevelt, and Channel Islands are going to be the last parts of part 4. And Channel Islands would be the last national park before I leave, so we're getting through the national park stuff pretty quickly, guys. Hey, Nightwolf, good to see ya. We're continuing to explore Voyageurs National Park here in Minnesota, northern Minnesota, of course. So this is Voyageurs, of course. Not a very popular park, but this is a water sports lover paradise. If you love water, this is absolutely one of your top parks to visit. Here's a shout out for you, Nightwolf. Streams Flight Sim does a lot of airliner operations with his virtual airline Wolf Air, and a good friend of the channel. So we're going to be visiting the community of Kabetogama is going to be the community we're going to be visiting here. So this is one of the other major areas here. This is one of the other visitor series here in the national park. So we're going to pay a visit here. Really neat area. Um, I know. I usually get to you in the record book. I do a lot of flying off stream. Yeah, I'm usually pretty quick with the guest books. I'm usually pretty fast into all of them too. So yeah, exactly. They've done a lot of work over the past couple to improve the platform even further, and I just like it a lot. So absolutely. So yeah, there's many of the little islands here too. So this is Cabeto Gama. Um, so we're gonna go ahead and turn right very soon. So yeah, I know Bobby's hard work. I know Bobby Allen's been put into a lot of work. Oh, whoops. Hmm. So yeah, a lot of the lakes got little islands and stuff. And some interesting thing is these islands here are you can actually get campsites on these islands. So on these islands, you can put campsites in places you can put your houseboats through. Because yes, since this is a water theme park, people can use houseboats, which is really cool. Really cool part about this national park, in my opinion. Just the sheer number of places you could camp in the water. Hmm. So we're gonna go through here. We're just 20 nautical miles out. We're about to get. We got one more waypoint technically. Um, so we just have one last waypoint left before we enter into the airport. So we're gonna go ahead. Yeah, these are the grassy islands. I mean, this is just really neat. Just super cool. So we're going to be entering International Falls, Minnesota very soon. So International Falls is is the largest city nearest to Voyageurs National Park. This population 5,802 people as of 2020. It's located across the Rain River, directly from Fort Francis, Ontario, which is actually larger at 7,600 people. Ice International Falls is best known for being nicknamed the Ice Box of the Nation because it has an average of 109 days a year when the average high is below 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. Well, I mean, it makes sense considering how high up you're in elevation, of course, and you're near all the different lakes and rivers and stuff. However, the trademark itself has been challenged a couple of times, but the town of Fraser, Colorado, a lot of stuff here about the city, of course. It is the ice box. In fact, International Falls has a daily record low temperature of -4 degrees Fahrenheit. It, um, in 2008. So yes, it gets very cold in the winter. I mean, your average mean temperature in the winter is 39, but it can easily get below 32. So, in terms of other stuff, culturally speaking, International Falls has been in pop culture. Mainly the small fictional town of Frostbite Falls, which was the hometown of Rocky Squirrel and Bullwinkle Moose, was actually um, was a spoof on the real life International Falls. And it's home to several notable people, particularly Bronco Nagurski. He was actually from International Falls. Um, Several gold medalists for the ice hockey came from here too. So there's some pretty notable people, but like I said, yeah, no campfires. Yeah, it's currently going through a campfire ban because of all the wildfires and stuff up there. So no campfires, of course. But yeah, this is absolutely cool. This is really neat to see here, of course. So we'll turn left and make our way to International Falls. There's also a smaller international airport where we're going to land in the seaplane base, of course. But honestly, I'm going to be going to the seaplane base. That's the one we're going to go down to since we have the seaplanes, and obviously I'm going to go do some. Plus, it's going to practice me for the seaplane stuff. It's going to practice me for when we go to Alaska, because a lot of the Alaskan national parks that we're going to be visiting is seaplane focused, is float plane stuff. So honestly, I want to prepare for those streams, of course. So So here we go, guys. International Falls is in the distance, and we're going to make our landing here in the town. So Fort Francis is right next across the river. Is going to be Fort Francis. At 7,400 people, it's home to the Fort Francis Canadian Beast Championship, which is a big tournament here in Canada. It was founded in the 17th century, but it was incorporated into in 1903. The city's got a little bit of museum, of course. They got museums, of course. They got the championship, and there's some pretty notable people, including former player Mike Allison, Howard Hampton, who's part of the provincial parliament of Ontario Kenora, legendary NHL player Duncan Keith. Um, he's very well known for, and artist and animator Terrell Calder are some of the most notable people from Fort Francis, of course. So, so here it is, International Falls, Minnesota, and Fort Francis as well. So we'll make a land there, and then we can wrap up the flights. This has been a really enjoyable adventure, guys. Um, really enjoy it. So here we go, guys. Autopilot off. Prepare for the landing. And there's our land site down there. International Falls seaplane base. So here we go. And we're done. Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of Oshkosh departures, yeah, because obviously this is about the last week of Oshkosh. So we're officially down. And we're down. Nicely done, guys. Well, that's it. So that's it, everyone. Welcome to Voyageurs National Park, and we're back at International Falls around the river. So thank you guys so much for being here this morning. Of course, this was a really enjoyable trip. I hope all you guys enjoyed this flight. So we're going to say hello. We're going to say hello to Nigeby today. We're going to write his channel once again. So we're going to stick around for his stream. So we'll be seeing you guys again on Friday, of course. We'll be back for our game day flight. We're going to be seeing you guys in the United States, in the Pacific Northwest. See you guys in Vancouver. Take care, everyone, and have a great rest of the week. Goodbye, everyone, and see you soon.